Hello everybody, this is the first video on this channel and my name's Arias22 and let's pop into the tutorial. Alright, and what you can see in front of you is the copper aging facility. This makes use of flying machines to distribute copper so it's 4 blocks apart, and let's take a look. Might be a slight lag spike depending on the quality of your computer. Mine's not the best, so you'll find out how it goes and whether you can make it larger on your own. So as you can see, each copper block is taken apart, so it's spread 4 blocks apart, which is optimal for the fastest speeds in terms of it being able to age. And I will set the random tick speed higher, just so that we can see it age a lot quicker than it would in the real world. But this will generally take around an hour tops. Alright, so you can see some of them have already begun aging faster than others. We will have our first complete one soon, most likely. So there will always be a couple of ones which are stragglers which take a little bit longer. And I'll pop back after it's all done. And now all the copper is aged, and now we're ready to send the flying machines on their return journey home. Again, maybe slight lag. Oh no, it seems to be handling it pretty well. So the flying machines will come back quickly and gathering up all of the copper as they come. Bringing it back. Oh, there we go. Slight lag. Sorry about that. And they will come and dock back here. I would recommend building this so that this is the ground layer, so then you can just come through and mine this. Or, if you're feeling particularly adventurous, you can use piston feed tapes to cycle them around into one large storage area. I haven't done that, but you can do that if you want. Now that we've seen it in action, let's figure out how it functions. Alright, so I've isolated this little area here. So this is one module, they're all identical. All 64 of them, one for each block. So the idea is that as the flying machine comes and pushes the blocks over, the first block that hits this one, so if you didn't catch that, it'll update, it'll send it'll detect it through the observer, that piston will activate, which will cause this piston, that observer to activate, and this piston will retract it in. The reason why this circuit is important is that means that as the rest of them are coming through, no matter how many more times something goes over here, it won't activate that and spit out the block again, which is very important. So what happens is that once all of the copper's aged, you hit the lever over there, but I've just isolated this one so it'll work with a button, and that will send out the copper. It does a little bit of funny business at the end there, but it works. And then a signal's sent out, and that activates all of the flying machines with those trapdoors there. So that's basically how this mechanism works. Just for clarification, you'd place the copper inside here. You can make it however fancy you want. You can make it look like whatever you want. I've just done basic sandstone here. Something that's important to note is that the flying machines will have to pass through here, so with the wiring you can't just have it straight, because you need to make sure the flying machine won't destroy any of your redstone, otherwise it'll be pretty well a one-time use. Alright guys, one more thing to note is that I have noticed that this is a bug that occurs with this farm. For some reason, even though the block above is depowered, because of quasi-connectivity, this does not update, and so it stays extended. This means that the next time a block comes through, it won't be able to retract it. So the way that I've figured out how to solve it is to do that. So just place the block there, and that will first update it, and then next time it'll work. And that should also solve the issue. Oopsie daisies, I'll fix that later. Something else I've found that will solve the issue is placing a repeater right in front of the piston. I think that's because it adds some extra delay, and so it has more time to think about it. And that, I find, solves the issue. So that should be something that you should need to take note. It doesn't happen to all of them, It happens to specific ones, and it's not based on chunk borders or anything, because none of them are on chunk borders. I've made sure of that when I was building this. So I think it's just somewhat random. So just make sure that if you do see that behavior, to just correct it either using a repeater or that simple method. That one I would prefer because it doesn't use any more materials. To make it easier for all of you guys to be able to build this in your own world or modify it, I've attached a world download in the description, and from that you can make a schematic of it or whatever. But this isn't the only build in the world, so as you can see the coordinates, 500, -100. If you come here, I'll also place a command block at spawn that you can just hit a button or pressure plate on, and that will teleport you here so that you guys can take a schematic or build this in your own world. So yeah, that should be down in the description. Some areas for improvement in this farm, primarily with the way that you place it, because in survival you're not able to reach that far. You're on creative, but you're not in survival. That's suboptimal, I would say. What you can do is you can place blocks on either side, and you can place them against. So you can place blocks there, and you can place them there. Or you could do is if you wanted to really automate it, you could use piston feed tapes to push copper blocks into position in this farm. Or as well as doing the same thing but in reverse at the end, so you can pull them away to either be mined by a player or blown up by TNT. Now that TNT is reliable. That will help to improve this farm, so that, especially if any technical Minecrafters are watching, that would be how I would improve it. In order to supply this farm with copper, and not just have to go out and manually mine it, I have designed a copper farm that will be coming out in a future tutorial, which produces well over a stack of copper blocks per hour, which is enough to meet the demands of this aging facility. Also, if you have an even larger copper farm, or a larger supply of copper, or if you have any need to, or if you have any need at all to produce more copper, or to age more copper, you can expand this farm either out to the side by just continuing this line and adding more flying machines, or lengthways. The downsides with extending it that way is that I would recommend adding some delay between them so that you're not running all of the flying machines at once, because that can be laggy. Also, the longer you make it, the longer it will take for it to collect all of the copper blocks from the system, which may not be the best idea, but it's all up to how much you think you're going to need, because you can just have several of them out of sync with one another, and then that won't really cause any issues. So those are the main suggestions I would have for improving this farm, but it's all up to you guys. I've built this, and who knows what will become of it. Alright, thank you guys for watching. This is the very first video of my channel, so if you do like it, make sure to give it a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you later on the copper farm build. See ya!